Good afternoon, everyone. Good to be back with you all. And just a bit of housekeeping before we start on our chat, I guess. First of all, apologies for the first sort of podcast I did. My phone ran out of memory and it just ended. And being not exactly an IT guru, I wasn't really sure what had happened, but I have removed some of the unnecessary data on my phone, and it should be fine. I've uploaded the first uh, intro, I suppose you call, in regard to telling you a bit about myself and how and why I have decided to share some of my thoughts, considerations, etc. with you. So it's up there now. Exciting and in a way also a bit frightening to think that you put yourself out there. Pardon me. For all and sundry to see and hear what you have to say. But one of my favourite sayings is to be steadfast and forthright, and to have faith in oneself in regard to going on the journey, to give it everything you got, and the result really becomes to some extent secondary. But anyway, already drifting away from my agenda. A bit more housekeeping. I decided to do 2 podcasts a week. So I do one on Wednesday, which is today, and also on a Friday. So yeah, that will give us plenty of chance to sort of delve and dive into topics and things that strike me or you guys in regard to what goes on in the world. I went for a walk today at lunchtime because I have so much stuff in my head that it's a bit like not being able to see the forest for trees sometimes. There's so many things I sort of want to share that I can turn into a bit of a fruit salad. So when I went for a walk today, it sort of crystallized in regard to the topic that I'd like to share today, and it's really about identity and how it actually works and what that means and what the world allocates to us in that sense. I think identity is one of those fundamental things that we all neglect to some extent, and yet forms really the foundation of how we live our lives, how we review what we do or don't do, and how we can return to the core sort of pardon me, self-belief and self-identity. The mere fact that it's called self-identity, I think, at times passes people by, and the realization that it's actually about us and who we are inherently, and our core sort of values and personalities, that we simply don't allocate any time really to take care of that. I think the world in general has, and I touched on that the last podcast, given us some the dominant story as to who we are and how we're being perceived, or what we need to do to be perceived in a certain way, to tick boxes. So it's like a public identity, social identity, and cultural identity, I suppose, as well. However, our own ability to sit down with ourselves and actually drill down, that's what I call it anyway, as to our core sort of assessment as to where we're at, how we're doing, what we think we're not doing well or at all, and how we work on that is, as I said, often neglected. So how do you do that? How do you enhance, or how do we enhance ourselves in regard to actually bring to the fore as to who we are and how that contributes to the people around us, society, community, and the world at large to some extent. And the answer, as is often the case, most of the answers to seemingly difficult questions are inherently simple. It's time. Spend time with yourself. It feels foreign at first, a little bit clunky, because it seems a ethereal sort of pursuit. Like how do you, or some psychological disorder just about to spend time with ourselves and have that honest sort of chat and review of how we live our lives, how we conduct ourselves, and how that sort of doesn't fit, often anyway, with how we actually conduct ourselves in public. So spend some time and actually ask yourselves as to how are you doing? How are you doing? God, I thought I sound like Joey from Friends. How are you doing? But do it in an honourable way, and actually open some of these little boxes that we all have gathered dust, and we go like, whoa, I'm not really sure. I'll give you an example. Most of us are often in situations with employment. It doesn't have to be employment, but let's use employment, where we are in a job that we don't like, that doesn't really fit with our personality, our dreams, goals, and ambitions, and yet we seemingly like sheep carry on because we're obviously aware that it fulfills requirements like finances, lifestyle, and security in a way, but it also avoids opportunities to actually pursue, or at least contemplate. I like that word, contemplate. It's good to open our minds as to what we really like to do, what we're passionate about, what gives us some sense of fulfillment and achievement. We all have that. It's just sort of being drummed out of us that we just have to be grateful for what we have, and don't be greedy, and it's not right to still have reviews and reincarnations of ourselves as you get older. I mean, I'm in my mid-50s and I have been reincarnated, difficult word, or I have done it myself, more often than I would like to accept. And at times it sort of strikes me that maybe I lack, I don't know, being settled. But I also know that being settled for me is to be truthful with who I am and where I'm at. I often, I'm a journeyman, a bit of gypsy, I think, in me. I often know that there's something else that's around the corner for me, and I'm not sure whether that's just some kind of psychological soothing that I give myself, that I don't have to concede that, okay, this is a job, this is what you'll do, it pays well, it's not too bad, just stick with that. Maybe that's part of that as well. But I've always, and I encourage everyone to really don't become stagnant, because that sort of grays the soul a little bit, I think. It's a bit like, who eats the same dinner all the time, it just seems bizarre that we have accepted that once you're being shaped or squeezed into that round hole, that's all there is. That's bullshit. That's not how it works at all. Of course, it takes some courage and self-reflection, and that can be confronting, to be really honest with yourself and acknowledge that we're not really doing what we like to do. Of course, within reason, but we don't even go on the journey to see what's possible. And sometimes you take detours anyway. You head towards A, and then via A or past A, you end up at F, and F turns out to be even better than the original journey to A seemed. So it's just to sort of get ourselves out of that sitting in the parking zone in our cars of life, so to speak, and parked and just go like, okay, this is not too bad, therefore I'm not gonna seek anymore. And so identity is obviously the underpinning principle that allows us to grow, to morph, to reinvent, to reincarnate. I said it right this time. And to have that sort of joie de vie, French word for joy of life, I guess. No, not I guess, it is. That, sort of takes us back to the core sort of circumstances of why we're here. Well, that's my philosophy anyway. I'm not a religious man. Well, I think religions have some useful philosophies. I don't adhere to the strict doctrine of this is how you have to live your life. But anyway, that's a different story altogether again. But yes, to maintain that sort of quest for be a bit learning, trying things that we've never done, be it to sit in silence with ourselves and appreciate the fact that we have these opportunities, because they don't cost money. The cognitive aspect of it anyway, it doesn't cost any money to sort of sit with ourselves and drill down. And some useful tactics are also that you or all of us trim the original sort of overwhelming, I don't know, down into chunkable sizes that we can sort of unwrap or undrill a little bit more. For argument's sake, employment obviously takes up a huge chunk of our lives, and we belong to the other man, so to speak, to the money. But if you're not happy in your job, ask yourself, what is it that you like to do? And as I said, some people go like, I have no idea, just not that. You're like, well, that's not going to be helpful. But ask yourself, do you want to work with people? No, I don't like people. Okay, would you like to work indoors? No, I don't want to do that. Okay, so outdoors would seem to be a preference that you have. You don't want to work with people, but would you be okay to work in smaller teams and get instructions and then you sort of send off on your own thing? Yes, I could do that. Okay, what sort of industry? Horticulture? No, too hot. Warehousing? Possibly. And you can sort of, you start to uncover some of those potential stepping stones that then give you an opportunity to further ponder on that. And I think pondering is vastly underestimated, because it opens our minds to alternatives and to opportunities rather than just be squeezed into them. You have to do this now. That sort of more fixed approach to life. It's a bit like saying, okay, let's eat, but not actually consider what you want to eat. Can you get it? Can you buy it in the shops? You'll have to prepare it. You have to cook it, and then you can eat. It's a bit the same in regard to identity. It requires a little bit of prepping, shopping, so to speak, and then working on that and having a sort of commitment to make sure that me, myself, and I, which also is frowned upon generally in society as a selfish and self-centered pursuit. I'm not sure who came up with that, but I think the big man who, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I'm no mug either in regard to media and keeping the masses tranquil with entertainment, alcohol, whatever. I think it's sort of been lost a little bit, that ability for us to, regardless of how rich or poor, where you live, that we have a little ability to self-actualize on that sort of very basic level and take care of ourselves in all aspects, instead of just being herded into this position where society in particular tells you like that's what you need to aim for: money, prestige, car, holidays, fancy clothes, play sport, that elevate you to you are, you're whatever, be golf, tennis, or whatever the hell it is. And it's just bullshit. It's just like filling your shopping trolley with lollies. They seem good, but they're actually really bad for you. There's no nutrients. It's just futile exercise, like Groundhog Day, like that Bill Murray movie. Just going through the motions for the sake of, I'm not sure, of being afraid to actually open the door to our real sort of identity in who we are, or what we want to rewrite in regard to what we have assumed, aka the dominant story of, our upbringings, our challenges, and how we have sort of accepted this is who we are. That's bullshit too. That's just a section of our life journey that sadly often dominates way too much time of our lives, with energy that should be used alternatively to actually make sure that we're in the driver's seat. We drive our car and our lives, and it's okay to sometimes just go for a cruise, yeah, as an example, obviously, and not to really know the destination, but the destination is not really, as many people have said, is not the ultimate goal. It's a journey. It's a journey of self-discovery, of exposing yourself to the new, and new in the sense that you sort of have an interest in it, or you think it strikes a chord with you, then have a crack at it. You not only do you have the best opportunity to actually achieve growth, personal development, and your true self-identity, you have the added bonus that your mind will then accept that you can, because you have. It doesn't just become some kind of philosophical discussion that you have in your own head that you could, would, should. I always say they're three cousins that got together but nothing ever got done, that sort of thing. And you learn through finding out what you'd like to do, what what interests you, and of course be measured. I'm not suggesting you got to work on Monday or whatever it is, and tell your boss to piss off, and I hate my job and I'm just gonna, I don't know, become a podcaster or something like that. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to do that. There's a fine line between bravery and stupidity. So, hedge your bets, but be accountable to yourself. That you actually want to trim some things away and put on a new shirt, to use, those sort of metaphors, and do that. I had a very successful job a decade ago or something. A lot of power. I mean, power in the sense of being able to influence company and shaping it and growing it and all that sort of stuff. And while I enjoyed it, I very quickly found out too that based on my personal dominant story that I had accepted, this had formed a sort of need to achieve, and achieve success equaled contentment and happiness. Not really like that word either, but anyway, yeah, there you go, I said it. And yet I found it completely hollow and empty and shallow, and over time it became like even more than a double-edged sword. It became something that was actually more draining than anything else that I would have done, that I would have said that's a shit job, even though the job alone wasn't shit, if that makes sense. So I did what I'm suggesting you do, and actually had a look at myself and go like, what actually makes you tick? Who the hell are you? Because most of us never done that. What sort of things, what shiny marble would you like to pursue if you see one lying around and you're a magpie? Where would you like to go? And go on these journeys. So I decided I would become an artist, and I quit my job. However, I had the support of my wife. She had a good job that she enjoyed. So I had a bit of leverage in that sense, and some of you may have as well. Of course, that's a completely relationship-based discussion that needs to happen before anyone does that. So I did that, and while it was not a huge success, art is a highly competitive field, especially now with digital and phones and computers. Like, everyone can be an artist, and rightly so. It's good to express yourself, but of course, commercially, very difficult to make ends meet. So I gave it everything I got, and also had to concede, okay, that's been a fantastic sort of adventure to go on in regard to being able, from my mind, to accept that I can, not I could, or might. I did, and so it wasn't as hard for me to concede that this hadn't worked, because my personal identity has started to grow, because I did what I suggest you do. And I wasn't gonna, maybe I would have been rich if I died, but a flaw in that plan, clearly. Or I have to cut shit off, like, I wasn't gonna lose an ear or anything else so like that. That seemed past the purpose of the exercise too. So I quit, and I knew that I simply had to keep going, and just, go back on the journey. And I realized that I wanted to work, or at least try and work with young people, because I always got along quite well with young people. So I went into a educational sort of gig and worked with young people. But again, I found out that in reality, actually, I didn't enjoy it very much at all. Maybe too old by then, too rigid or too resentful, that my wisdom was not appreciated as much as I was hoping. So I moved on. I've, like I said, I've always gone from job to job, because by then I then had that identity and self-belief and self-identity, really, that I sort of started to discover more and more as to who I was and what I didn't need to feel, you know, purposeful or connected via validation from others. And that's been fantastic. And I dare say everyone who does what I suggest, or goes on a journey that I suggest, will have similar sort of realizations, that all of a sudden we have less apprehensions and anxieties. Because I think subconsciously there's, the ID, the super ID, the ego, those sort of philosophical pursuits. I think there's definitely some kind of a battle going on in us at times, as to how we feel we have accepted a situation that really is not, we wouldn't score it terribly high, and the subconscious sort of makes us aware of that really, and that leads to general unhappiness. Again, there's that word, but you become sort of resentful, maybe is a better word, as to where you're at, even though your situation is pretty good, like a conundrum sort of thing. It's good, but it's also bad, because it doesn't give us a chance to have some kind of a sense of achievement and honor and integrity as to who we are and how we want to do things. So yeah, self-identity is something that I would encourage you to work on, to sit with yourself, and to be frank when you start to unwrap some of the things that you like. Write them down, because it's quite a conscious sort of exercise. So it's good to have some notes, or to a video. It doesn't really matter what medium that you use, and persist with that. You will find an aspect of your life, be that a hobby, a social connections, employment, relationships, health, mental health, whatever it is. You'll find an opportunity to invest in one of those spheres of life that will be the catalyst of improving your true self-identity. And that will be good for you, for those around you, for community, and for the world. Because then it becomes more about as to who we are and how we'd like to satisfy who we are in the sense of values, morals, identity, rather than capitalist sort of pursuits and showing off. So yeah, as a freebie, I think I throw a freebie in every time I do a podcast, is get rid of your TV. It's just it just rots your brain. Those of you who know Frank Zappa, if not, look him up. He was one of the first sort of guys that I came across. A musician. Sorry, I should have said that. Musician that talks about that sort of brain stimulation in a bad way that the media does. You look around, all you hear is negative stuff. That's just bad. There's heightened fear of disaster, of despair, pain. Humanity is shit. Is I find it perverse. Is the word, because I think it's intentional to sort of shove us into a corner where we go like fucking hell. At least we're better off, so we're grateful for that. I'm not dismissing that, but life's not about that. Life's not about being grateful because someone else is worse off than you. Well, I think that's not enough. I think you should be grateful because you think you're managing your own life in a way that is meaningful and true to you. The rest, again, is disrespectful to yourselves, to ourselves. So you could always go, someone's worse off, or some country is better or worse, or what the hell ever. But it's weaseling out. That's what I call it. We should grab our own horns and have a crack at that. So yeah, that's it for today. As you can see, I'm sitting in my backyard. This is my garden section. This is one of the things that I discovered when I was sitting with myself and having a good chat. That one of the things that I find soothing, helpful, and connects me to the sort of to organic personality traits is gardening. Getting my hands dirty, digging, tending, and obviously eating in the end as well. I'm not a great gardener, I have to admit. There's only selected things that I can grow, like kale, which is just, I don't know, it's you just cook it in oil so it slides into the rubbish bin quicker. It's awful. But anyway, I was good at that. Tomatoes, potatoes, spinach. But spinach is like a weed. I think anyone can grow that. But it's just good, because it took my mind away from the usual pursuits that we all have. Walk on the beach. I know most of us, most of you guys, have some of those, abilities to step out a little bit. But they are, when I say tokenistic, maybe that's harsh. But I don't think we give ourselves what we deserve. We sort of think other things should give us what we deserve on a very different platform. Like I said, money, power, prestige, whatever. So yeah, hang with yourselves, have a good time, be kind to yourselves, but also be assertive and call yourselves out, so to speak, when you know that you might go like la 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 la, go like no. I'm actually gonna do this, and yeah. I'll see everyone on Friday. Have a great rest of your day, whatever it is that you're doing. And yeah, be kind to yourselves and go on a quest to find your self-identity. All right. Peace.